Juffa to probe incomplete projects in Oro. Government to take stock of urban state land. And Operation Render Safe continues in Bougainville.
This is National EMTV News with Tokana Hasavi.
Good evening and welcome. This is Monday's news. Northern Provincial Government, through Governor Gary Juffa, will launch a full-scale investigation into incomplete infrastructure works in the province. Governor Juffa said they will set up a project review committee comprising lawyers and other elites to investigate and find out where and how public monies have been spent. The processes are part of cleaning up the province, notorious for incomplete projects.
We'll hand it over to Department of...
In a news conference, Governor Juffa again reassured his people that a vote of no confidence in him was only a scam to divert his attention from uncovering illegal operations, business deals and corruption in the province. After seeking legal advice, Governor Juffa maintained that the vote of no confidence in him was illegal.
No, but you're not doing anything. Really? Those 4 bridges? Who brought those bridges? For 5 years, nobody acted. Until I came here and spent 6 months walking through every government department, banging on ministers' doors, eventually going to the Prime Minister's office.
He says once the project review team is established, they will investigate some of the incomplete projects, which include the Popondetta Market project where 2 million kina was released, but the market has not been completed. Another stagnant project is MV Ijivitari, docked at Oro Bay, where 5 million kina was allocated. Juffa says this infrastructure will be scrutinized by the project review team.
Open members, bring your money and put it through that system, because that's what the Finance Management Act says. It doesn't say we can just go and engage this and that company at will and win, which is what they've been doing.
Since taking office, Governor Juffa has made some progress to clean up the mess in the province. However, in recent weeks, council presidents led by Ijivitari MP David Arore have not seen eye to eye. They are pushing for the vote of no confidence because of Governor Juffa's style of leadership.
That we've been operating on a remote control. We've been lying to this nation. We've been telling this nation that we're doing so much. This and this and this is happening in the province. But the truth of the matter is there's absolutely nothing happening in the province.
This faction proposed to have a special meeting at the end of the month to move the vote of no confidence motion. However, that has been put off by the governor, who is the chairman of the Northern Province Assembly. Bridget Komatap, National EMTV News.
The Nipa Kutubu in Southern Highlands Province has become the first district, besides the national capital, to reclaim all state properties. More than 100 families were recently issued notices to immediately vacate state houses and state land they have been occupying for years. The move was led by a local member of Parliament, Jeffrey Komal, and the district administration.
Illegal tenants were served with eviction notices to vacate within 2 weeks. The whole idea is to free up land for development. Members of the police and defense force engaged in the special LNG operations in the Southern Highlands assisted with the eviction and relocating illegal tenants to their home villages. Local member Jeffrey Komal said illegal tenants who refused eviction will be forcefully removed and their illegal structures demolished. Many of the tenants have lived there for more than 25 years. He said this is part of the national government's rural focus policy. The national government has allocated 1 million kina for the district housing program. The provincial government and JDB-PC both allocated 500,000 kina. The district has seen unprecedented changes and the funds will be used to bring changes like the sealing of the district town roads, new district houses and the construction of a new hospital after 37 years. Mickey Cavera, National EMTV News.
A legal officer with BSP Bank has sustained minor injuries after the vehicle he was driving crashed into the drain opposite the 5-mile roundabout in Port Moresby. The man, originally from Australia, was travelling home when his vehicle was hit by a Land Cruiser, pushing it off the road, into the air and right into the drain. It was the vehicle's airbag that saved his life.
This was the scene minutes after the crash yesterday evening. Bradley Toto and his friends were on their way home when he witnessed the accident. According to Bradley, the legal officer was hit when he wanted to switch lanes at the roundabout. The personal details of the victim were not released to EMTV News, but it is understood the victim was transported to Pacific International Hospital moments after he was pulled out of his vehicle. He was the only passenger at the time of the accident.
Strongly leaking, the car and come outside now, or some police car come in.
Witnesses say the driver of the Land Cruiser sped off after he realized he had caused the accident. Police arrived almost 30 minutes after the accident and guarded the vehicle overnight. The vehicle was removed from the drain today. Taklagunga National, EMTV News.
The Papua New Guinea Fire Service in Mount Hagen says it lacks appropriate equipment to attend to fire emergencies. Its business community has also raised concerns over the state of the fire station and its ability to combat fires. These concerns were raised following a fire that destroyed 8 shops in the center of Mount Hagen city. MTV's Silva Sagawi has tonight's MTV News special report on that recent fire in Mount Hagen.
Over the last 5 years, the Mount Hagen Fire Service has received little assistance from the provincial government. Its aging infrastructures have been allowed to fall apart, despite the city experiencing massive growth in business. Business houses and owners in Mount Hagen are concerned about inadequate equipment at the fire station. There are also concerns about its capacity and preparedness to combat fire emergencies in the city.
Plenty fire by come up, where firemen standby.
Daniel Doctor, who owns the Komkowi house, watched from his rooftop as the buildings were destroyed by fire on Wednesday night.
Business houses too, and only got big water long this long run fire now. I mean not so long run, but you get one plan long fire department long securing this fire system.
The fire station has only 2 fire trucks. The recent fire in Mount Hagen has brought to light the inabilities of the fire brigade in putting out fires and also in rescue efforts.
But legally, money blow, provincial government will give me plan, maintaining this plan, maybe yet come up, maybe yet making this barracks come up, kind of, so now you're looking now.
Like nearly every other fire stations around the country, Mount Hagen has its backlog of problems. Deteriorating infrastructures, lack of safety equipment and fire trucks are problems faced by firefighters. The fire service has been left to struggle with poor funding support and resources.
In terms of the logistics that we have, the equipment and all that, as the town is growing, we are not growing.
The little funding they get from the provincial government is insufficient to cater for the maintenance of its existing facilities. It has 22 firefighters. However, equipment shortage has been a problem for many of them. So far, there have been 3 major fires in Mount Hagen within a space of 6 months. Over the past 10 months, several businesses in Ley City have lost millions of kinas worth of properties to fire. Another business property was destroyed over the weekend here in Ley City. All these instances of fire brings to question the abilities of the PNG Fire Service all throughout Papua New Guinea. The recent fire that burnt down 8 shops was also a loss for many farmers in the Highlands region. One of the shops that got burnt was Chemica, a leading agricultural supplier for many farmers. With Mount Hagen and Western Highlands to be developed into the agricultural hub of Papua New Guinea, the loss is affecting farmers in a big way.
Farmers long place, come in, time all paid, na kind of some margin stock fit or something mi plus aksim so em service blow mi play
Business houses say PNG Fire Service is a vital organization in the nation's development and it should be maintained with consistent funding from the government.
So the government has to look into this one, and if they can put up this infrastructure, they have to look into fire service. We've got the men, trained men, but it's the equipment.
Fires at big cities like Port Moresby, Lae and Mount Hagen clearly show the lack of consideration the fire service gets from the provincial governments. Sylvester Gawi, National EMTV News.
And among stories coming up after the break, PNGTA raised concerns on teachers' appointments and Operation Render Safe in South Bougainville. Stay with us for the details. Good to have you back with the news. The national government will conduct a stocktake on urban development land in Lae and Port Moresby. This comes after numerous instances of illegal land dealing, resulting in land grabbing involving state-owned land. Lands Minister Benny Allen says a new board will be appointed to look into these land issues.
In the face of development in Lae City, the growing demand of land to meet the economic developments has posed threats against both traditional and state-owned land. A series of land grabbing in Lae has attracted government attention to look into illegal land deals in Lae and Port Moresby.
I have given direction to my secretary to do stocktake on all UDLs in NCD and also in Moroe province.
Earlier this month, the traditional landowners of Lae City, the Hai people, blocked off the state land at the old Lae airport. They demanded the Morobe's Provincial Lands and Physical Planning Board chairman, Patilis Gamato, to step down from his post.
Gamato must be sacked.
Matthew Minape, a Lae-based businessman, is also in a court battle with the Provincial Lands Board after they demolished his properties earlier this month following allegations of illegal land deals.
And the problem is that you've had, because the deals that are made are not properly fall within the proper plans, you have double titles, 2 titles, 3 titles issued as the one block, and it's a real mess.
Meanwhile, an investigation into illegal land deals in the province has resulted to the suspension of a junior lands officer who allegedly facilitated the sale of Papua compound playing field. The blame on the land grab issue in Lae has been leveled against poor collective political will by successive governments, both at the provincial and national level. Edwin Fidelis, National EMTV News, Lae.
Over 50,000 teachers may face difficulties in their appointments to teaching positions in schools across the nation. Papua New Guinea Teachers Association President Ugalubu Moana recently expressed frustration over the appointment gazettes of teachers in NCD and other parts of the country.
Mr. Moana criticized the recent appointment gazette as having many errors in it, and this would affect the teaching calendar for 2015 school year.
Guinea Teachers Associations discussed over the advertisement of the 2014 Teacher Vacancy Gazette, volume number 38, number 2 of May 2014. This is the Teacher Vacancy Gazette that is normally advertised for teachers to apply for positions. If teachers have eligibilities or they have substantive levels and they want to move from one position to another or for promotion purposes, they use this gazette to basically apply to the appointing authorities for consideration.
Mr. Moana said school principals in NCD have spoken and written to him about teaching appointments that were not diligent. He wants to know what's become of the 100,000 kinai given to all electorates in the country in 2012 for the update of data for schools in the electorates.
Receiving a couple of complaints from National Capital District that this particular Teacher Vacancy Gazette published by the Department of Education has a lot of errors. There are a lot of discrepancies.
He said the names of all those MPs that have fully utilized the monies for their respective electorates must be publicized for the people of the country to be aware of.
15 school year is only 3-4 months away from today. And I tell you, there will be more inherited problems in 2014 to 2015 if the government and Department of Education don't take seriously our call to ensure that diligent management of the teachers, students, and school affairs are put in place.
Benny Getang, National EMTV News.
The Torokina community in South Bougainville welcomed Operation Render Safe into their area. They see it as a positive step towards development. ABG President, Chief Dr. John Momis, said the operation will create a conducive atmosphere for the people and the government to embark on new socio-economic development. Minister for Bougainville Affairs, Stephen Pirika, said for too long the people of Torokina have suffered from the remnants of war left behind by the Allied forces. The explosive ordnance disposal teams from the task force nations have uncovered over 3,000 landmines and bombs from World War II. Operation Render Safe is currently underway and involves military personnel from Australia, the United Kingdom, United States, New Zealand and police from the Solomon Islands. Today is Grade 8 National Exams Day and the number of Grade 8 students from the Maprik district proceeding to Grade 9 is very poor. A survey conducted by the district shows that of the 2,800 students sitting for the Grade 8 exams every year, only 900 make it to Grade 9. Contributing factors to this include shortage in schools and classroom infrastructure.
There is a growing concern about the number of Grade 8 students failing to have access to Grade 9 education in the Maprik district of East Sepik province. The district has a total of 36 primary schools with 1 secondary school and 2 high schools. The secondary school and high schools not only cater for students coming out from the district's primary schools, but also surrounding districts in the province. These have reduced the chances of Grade 8 students from Maprik to continue their education. A national government-funded survey into education in the district has revealed some alarming statistics.
New Guinea was asked to do a survey, which 100,000 kina was given to us by the government to conduct that survey. Now, during that survey, we came to also realize that in Maprik, I have 36 primary schools. And out of these 36 primary schools, every year, I have 2,800 students sitting for Grade 8 exams. And out of that, I have only less than 900 students who have access to Grade 9s. And this is a very poor rate.
Maprik MP John Simon has had discussions with provincial and district education authorities to find a solution to this growing problem. Immediate solutions would be to build 2 new high schools and more classrooms. He wants to see that starting next year there will hardly be any Grade 8 dropouts from Maprik district.
We need to change this. We need to make sure 70% now this next year must go to high school. We must try our best to make sure there is no Grade 8 dropouts, or there must not be Grade 8 leavers. As soon as they complete their Grade 8s, they must continue on to Grade 9.
It is hoped that these changes will help lift the level of education in the district and make Maprik become the leader in education in the East Sepik province, which it aspires to achieve. Mickey Cavera, National EMTV News.
Mary Stopes PNG officially launched its family planning services in the autonomous region of Bougainville today. The Arawa Outreach Office was opened with representatives from the government departments, health officials and international organizations. Country Director for Mary Stopes PNG, Tom Elum, said although family planning has increased in the region, there is still a very low use of the service. Therefore, the outreach team will provide a boost to family planning use, which will in turn help the ABG government accelerate progress in the government's health plan. Dr. Joseph Villosi, doctor in charge of the Arawa Health Center, said there have been very poor statistics of family planning in the region and the Bougainville Health Department does not have the capacity to address this issue. The opening of this center is a step in addressing this capacity shortage. Family planning outreach exercises will start next week in Central and South Bougainville. While having lost her leg in a childhood accident, amputee Alma Kuambu has dedicated much of her life to assisting other persons living with disabilities. Kwambu travelled to Manus as part of the Strong in People, Strong in Nation program with fellow athlete with disability, Ben Theodore, to push for more inclusiveness of persons with disability into mainstream society.
Made possible through grants from Australian Development Agency, AusAid, the program is looking at using assistive devices to improve the lives of people with disabilities.
The assistive devices look at the axilla crutches, the walking canes, the elbow crutches, hearing aids for hearing impaired, glasses for low vision, and water beds for clients who've suffered from spinal cord injury.
Being an amputee herself has allowed her to be a positive model for change, stating that many other people like her were in need of assistance and wanted to be part of the community rather than being classed invalid.
But now they can go to the market, they can walk with their walking cane or their crutches and just be like everyone else, And that's the goodness of this project,
Another person also part of the program is Ben Theodore, a former athlete with disability and former vice president of PNG Paralympics Committee.
That is something which we would like, underneath long disability inclusive development plan, people like in provincial governments to take care of this. Because I'll tell you now, in lay, I'm pretty sure provinces will go with bags of medals. And most of these medals will be won by para-athletes, by athletes with disabilities, all right?
A disability inclusive development plan is in place to allow for more involvement of persons with disabilities through the Assistive Devices Project. The program has already been rolled out to other centers in the country and hopes to cover the whole nation to all persons with disability in the country. Jeremy Moggy, National, EMTV Sports.
Octedi Mining Limited is ready to pay CMCA cash payments and says comments by PNG Sustainable Development Program Chairman Sir Makera Marata that payments could not be processed by PNG Microfinance Limited were inaccurate. OTML clarified this afternoon that earlier this year, PML had advised that it would no longer be facilitating this year's CMCA cash payments to its 9,489 CMCA customers since it was not able to meet the cost of delivering cash payments to communities. In a public notice on June 11, 2014, PML advised its customers that if they wished to maintain their accounts with PML, there would be a charge of a 6% fee. Other families in North, Middle and South Fly regions had new accounts open to receive their payments. The CMCA family cash payments, totaling close to 20 million kina per year, are paid to over 18,000 family bank accounts in the fourth quarter of each year in accordance with agreements signed by CMCA communities. Vehicles found bringing bags of betel nut into Port Moresby will be impounded by NCDC betel nut ban enforcers. This comes as many people are still illegally transporting betel nut into the city despite the established betel nut ban. Drivers of these vehicles will be expected to pay a fine of 1,000 kina before their vehicles can be released.
The National Capital District Commission will be looking at introducing tougher penalties in its attempts to maintain the betel nut ban in Port Moresby. Through its betel nut ban enforcement unit, NCDC will be sending notices to business houses and the main shopping centers to stop vendors from selling betel nut in their business premises.
They're allowing people to sell in front of the stores, business houses, whatever. So we will be issuing notices to them.
Meanwhile, at the Laloki checkpoint, betel nut enforcers confiscate 10 to 20 bags of betel nut during the day and around 30 at night. These betel nut enforcers do a thorough check on every vehicle that comes into Port Moresby to make sure betel nut weighing over 2 kilograms is not transported in.
Penalty blow car. It's like, you want the car where you transporting boy in central area commercial NCD. People only your car on the boy. It's like penalty fee is like 500 kina driver, 1,000 kina car. You convey him betel nut commercial city.
If a person is found with a bag of betel nut, it is cut and thrown into this yellow bin. The vehicle is impounded and taken to the NCDC depot. This video shows a number of different types of vehicles that were recently impounded by the enforcement unit. Taklagunga, National EMTV News.
And now we take a look at the finance news. The kina closed unchanged at $0.3965 in the interbank market, and at Bank South Pacific, the kina was buying $0.389 $0.4368 Australian dollars, €0.2987 euro, and 41.61 Japanese yen. Looking at commodity prices at New York close, gold and copper closed higher, coffee and cocoa closed lower. Palm oil closed higher, while crude oil and copper closed lower. And lastly, on the stock market, the Dow Jones closed at 128 points higher, the ASX closed at 29 points higher, and the All Ordinaries closed at 60 points higher. You're watching National EMTV News tonight. Maritime security seminar in Madang, and homes and cars flattened in Sydney, Australia after strong winds hit the area this afternoon. I'll give you all the details when we come back. Welcome back to the news. Priority has to be given to the Papua New Guinea transport sector in preparation for future international events that the country will be hosting. Transport Department Deputy Secretary, Technical Wing, Kevin Luana, highlighted this during the Maritime Security Seminar in Madang today. Terrorism is an international threat, and PNG has no option but to prepare. MTV's Quinton Alum files this story from Madang.
The need to enforce tough surveillance and security measures are PNG's serious matter of concern. With the row of international events, PNG is hosting the 2015 Pacific Games and the 2018 APEC Summit, including the liquefied natural gas overseas exportation. Security issues must be addressed with quality control program put in place. As terrorism activities are targeting transport medium in international communities, the Transport Department is keen to help raise more awareness to address these issues. Deputy Secretary Technical Services Kevin Luana, speaking during the seminar, said PNG maritime sector is an attractive target for terrorists that may have serious impact on the economy.
Its ongoing protection is an enormous challenge for both government and industry, especially when the emergencies of key projects like the LNG gas project, which is not only important for our economy but also attracts a lot of.
Transport Department former advisor Chris Dodd said the world is at a high risk of terrorism. However, PNG is at the initial stage of implementing the International Ships and Port Facility Security, or the ISPS code, under the IMO SOLAS Convention 1974.
It doesn't talk about transport specific throughout, but protection of or threats to vital assets, the threat of organised crime, the threat of rascalism and terrorism are in there. So it does link to the ISPS code and our function.
Since 1994, the government has spent over 6 million kina on maritime security enforcement to strengthen marine security, as over 75% of trade is by sea. Proper surveillance, manpower, technology, training and maintaining cooperations are issues discussed at the seminar. Quinton Alomp, National EMTV News, Madang.
Turning overseas, emergency crews are spread right across Sydney tonight after destructive wind gusts brought down trees and power lines. Cars have been flattened and homes badly damaged. The gale forces winds, leaving around 12,000 properties without power.
The summer gales screamed in from the southwest. Good Hope Street, Paddington, one tree, roots and all, slammed down into a parked car. Somehow no one was injured. School kids were walking past only minutes after. Another 7 cars were damaged.
The silver Ford Falcon is just sitting right there. It's, it's not good.
At Arncliffe, a tree smashed through the roof of a house.
I was working in my backyard, and all I saw is this thing just start to crumble and fall down.
What did you hear?
A big crack, like something just going.
The neighbour set out the alert to the owner, who was at work.
I just told my boss I'm going home. There's a tree on my roof. I think I'm lucky I wasn't home.
Penrith gum trees were snapping just as parents hit the road for the school pickup.
Ferocious. It was really blowing a gale.
Worst I've ever seen it here.
We were just about to go out, probably 2 minutes. If we'd gone out two minutes earlier, we probably would have got struck on the head.
The Bureau predicted winds of up to 80 km an hour. It didn't put off one Penrith local who came out armed with his leaf blower.
The winds came through about 120 k's, so I came home to a missing tree.
The owner of this house at Mount Riverview will come home to the view of a tree in his front room. Nearby at Glenbrook, cars were thumped as branches rained down. Trains were stopped by fallen trees. And what a difference a few hours before. Sydney awoke saluting the sun. It's set to be the hottest October stretch in a decade, with temperatures averaging 29 degrees for the next 6 days.
So it's going to get a little bit cooler over the next couple of days. So tomorrow's still warm, but then warming back up again into Friday and Saturday, when we could be hitting into the low 30s once again.
And that report concludes our news segment tonight. But stay tuned, we've got sports coming up next, bodybuilding and soccer. Those stories in True Guy Sports after these short messages.
Trukai Sports.
BSP PNG Games 2014. 19 days to go. Support your province.
6 Pacific Island nations' top bodybuilders were in the country for the annual South Pacific Bodybuilding Championships, which was held over the weekend at the Cosmopolitan Club. The championship was a preparation towards the 2015 Pacific Games.
About 35 athletes comprising of 32 men and 3 women vied for the top spot. This year's championship is a preparatory competition towards the 2015 Pacific Games. The 6 island nations who competed were Cook Islands, Tonga, New Caledonia, Solomon Islands, Tahiti and Papua New Guinea. The athletes gave it their all on stage for the championship. The islanders were crisp in their flexing and determined to be ranked the #1 bodybuilders in the Pacific. In the women's division, Mr. Avefa from PNG won the overall title of Female South Pacific Champion.
We got strong patintino and me cake patlo next year 2015 game. Osan now me training strong and now me play now. So tintin blo me must win this la South Pacific. So now me winning.
In the men's division, Stefan Male from Tahiti won the overall and was named Mr. South Pacific Champion for 2014. Tonga's Manasseh Afuhamango won the under 90 kg division and was the runner-up. Manasseh said it was his second time to PNG and is looking forward for next year's Pacific Games.
Next year you guys will be, look at us, we'll come back and I'll do my best and I will take the title next year.
The overall bodybuilding championship was a success, with all athletes feeling the energy and challenge in anticipation of the 2015 Pacific Games in PNG next year. This was the start and the organizers were quite pleased with the turnout. Acting president for the PNG Bodybuilding also thanked the sponsors for their support towards the bodybuilding championships.
I think most of the athletes told me that it's their first experience coming to PNG and the experience their life here in Port Moresby and PNG as a whole, and they're very happy of the hospitality they have received from us here, and most importantly the hosting of the competition here.
The athletes will now be preparing and looking forward to next year's 2015 Pacific Games here in Port Moresby. Mai Koime, National EMTV Sports.
Team Manus is hoping to cement its position as national champions by the end of the PNG Games. Quietly spoken head coach Peter Sakias is banking on his young and talented team to carry the hopes of the football crazy Islanders with the gold medal in their sights.
Key to the team's success has been their discipline and pride, with faith also playing a big part.
And we kept that the spirit of win. Nah, it's like I'm belem kirap yet stablo. Me blo train. So me blo train hard. Some of the boys only me give more one day break, or just gonna visit the whole family, and then we'll come back and we train together again.
Vice Captain Stephen Chaka, an older member of the team, says his younger charges are ready and raring to go.
Me looking plenty blowly look upon experience or seniority blomina.
Like I was there to lead as a vice captain, only just submit na. Only got this like strong law, inside law, play na law opponents blah blah.
Both men, however, believe that the PNG Games will be a big test of the team's character.
No same, I'm by all same one kind. This is spirit when we carry him gonna me play law and win him law besta, but I'm carry one time.
Plans for the soccer team also extend beyond the PNG Games, with a few members of the team having already been drafted into both the national team, with 3 more part of the football academy in Ley. Jeremy Mogi, National, EMTV Sports.
The Murray Barracks Oval hosted the Port Moresby rugby competition with all eyes on the top 8 team that have been finalised after the proper season. It was a tight match from the Hekari Tarangau as they took on Dobbo Warriors.
Hyped up supporters flooded the Murray Barracks Oval to watch their teams. The top 8 were finalised after the normal season games. Hekari took on a tough pack of Dobbo Warriors. Tarangau took in the first half after scoring 3 tries before defending their margin with a strong defense. Dobbo Warriors fought back to score in the second half. Tarangau proved too strong in the end, winning the match with a full-time score Hekari Tarangau 16 to Dobbo Warriors 14.
Tarangau just defeated Dobbo Warriors, the 2012 premiers, by 14-16, and now the main game will be between Brothers and Butterflies, so the loser both out of the competition.
In the other match, Butterflies took on Brothers in a strong match, and Butterflies beat Brothers 13-8. The next round of matches will see Dobbo play Hawks and Butterflies to take on Souths, while Paga and Brothers hang up their boots for the season. Tarangau and the Hohola Flies are on bye. Rafaela Kaure, National, EMTV Sports.
And Trukai Sports continues with game fishing after the break. Stay with us.
Trukai Sports.
Good to have you back with Trukai Sports. Well, it's on again. The annual Port Moresby Yellowfin Tuna competition set for November will see anglers from around the nation converging at the Port Moresby Game Fishing Club. President Russell Curtin made this known in the 2-day ESCO Hitachi Brian Bell Port Moresby Game Fishing competition held over the weekend.
The line-out began as early as 5 a.m. in the morning, with 14 boats and 45 anglers competing in the ESCO Hitachi Brian Bell Port Moresby Game Fishing competition. The biggest catch of the day are sailfish weighing 30 kilograms, tagged and released back into the sea. The 2-day competition recorded a formidable 16 kilograms giant trevally caught yesterday.
16.
We had some really good fish and the weather was a bit kinder to us as well. One of the boats managed to catch and tag and release a lovely sailfish. They were really happy. So that's a fish that's like more than 2 metres long, so they were really impressed with that. We had a lovely big GT caught on the vessel Sana May. That's my mate Matty Chang. He was pretty pleased with that one. Yeah, it's been a very good day. A bit rough today, but not too bad. We managed to fish all day in it, yeah.
This competition now sets the pace to the upcoming annual Yellowfin Tuna competition, slotted for November 22nd to 23rd. It will be one of the biggest competitions under the banner of Trukai Industry and PNG Motors.
It's our 40th national titles next year, so that's an important one to us. So we want to make sure that here in Port Moresby, it's a really good show. We've also got the South Pacific the Pacific Games going on during the same year. So we're calling our game fishing titles a lead up to the Pacific Games because our national titles are held here during April next year.
What a day well spent here at Yacht Club with catches of the day that could certainly notch up titles for Port Moresby Game Fishing competition. Tere Alex, National, EMTV Sports.
Overseas to Rugby League, Australia will take on England in the Four Nations on Sunday. The Kangaroos are aware of England's strength and it lies in the Burgess brothers.
The English team was still in recovery mode today. The heat and the Samoans took plenty out of them. The Aussies know where the English strength is. It's in their giant pack, headed up by James Graham, and the Twin Towers, otherwise known as George and Tom Burgess. The departure of Sam means that George is now the main draw card.
Sam's always been the big brother, and he came out here 5 years ago, and he's been a part of the competition for a longer period of time. But he's you certainly don't forget who George Burgess is when you're playing against him.
You might not forget him, but identifying George is another issue. Can you tell a difference between them?
Yeah, one's got a straight nose, one's got a bent nose, that's it. Seriously.
Not easy, though.
Very hard, very, very difficult. I think the boys have been fooled by him quite a few times. The staff have just got no idea, but he just looks straight, and the one with the bent nose is George, and the one with the straight nose is Tom.
The English coach says George is on track to reach the same heights as his brother Sam, and will one day be considered the best player in the game. Has George got the potential to be better than Sam? I know it's a big call.
Oh, I just think they're different. They're really different players. You know, they're all big boys, but quite clearly they have a different skill set. And Sam in his own right voted the world's best player. He took that out this year. Has George got the potential to win that at some point? Yeah, I think he has.
The Australians are facing more than just a fired-up English side. History is weighing on them. 60 years since Australia missed a final of a competition. A bit of heat on.
Yeah, there's a lot of pressure on the side. There's a lot of pressure on all the individuals in the team as well to perform well. But that's what happens when you pull on a Kangaroos jersey.
One positive is Daly Cherry Evans is recovering well and will be named in the side. But the skipper wants Ben Hunt to be named in the squad as a backup. Do you think Ben Hunt should be in this side somewhere?
Well, if he is to play Cherry Evans, and there is a little bit of doubt on whether he'll get through 80 minutes, I think Ben should get a start on the bench.
And that report wraps up True Kai Sports tonight. Coming up next, the weather details. Stay tuned.
True Kai Sports. True Kai Sports.
This weather information is proudly brought to you by Tablebirds.
Quick look at the weather forecast for tonight and tomorrow in southern region. Possible evening showers in Port Moresby. In Momase, all centres, thundery showers. In New Guinea Islands, all centres to expect a few showers. And lastly, in the Highlands region, all centres, showers, then morning fog. And before we go, quickly recapping our main headlines again. Juffa to probe incomplete projects in Oro. Also, government to take stock of urban state land. And Operation Render Safe continues in Bougainville. Well, that's been the news this Monday, the 27th of October 2014. From all of us here, I'm Tokana Hasavi. You take care and stay safe. Good night.